next couple of lessons are going to involve the branch of math called trigonometry. And it's going to fill in the shortcomings of the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem, while very helpful, only gives us information about the sides of a right triangle. It has nothing to do with angles. And I need two of the side measures to be able to find the third. The benefit of trigonometry is I can now find angle measures, and if I have angle measures, I can use that information to find sides. So trigonometry is the branch of mathematics that deals with the ratio, or ratios, between the side of a right triangle with reference to the acute angles of the right triangle. Remember, if I have a 90-degree angle making it a right triangle, the other two angles have to add to 90, which means that they have to each be less than 90 degrees, which means they are acute. Also remember that ratio is a comparison of two numbers using division. In triangle ABC below, A is the length of the leg opposite angle A. So we would list this as A because it's opposite the angle A. B is the length of the leg opposite angle B. So we would call that B. And C is the length of the hypotenuse. We use the word hypotenuse as the only description of that side. Okay? Now, depending upon the acute angle we're dealing with, the leg that is not attached, that is attached to the angle, is called, and is not the hypotenuse, is called the adjacent side. All right? Now, as you have on the piece of paper that you were given in class, and I'll write them over here, you would be giving, or you're going to be given the formulas for sine, cosine, and tangent, which are the three trigonometric ratios. Sine is a comparison of the opposite side to the hypotenuse. Cosine is a comparison of the adjacent side to the hypotenuse. And tangent is a comparison between the opposite side and the adjacent side. Okay. So how do we do this? It's actually a very straightforward ratio. I want to find the sine of angle A. So I start at angle A, which is here. I look at my formula, and it tells me it's this ratio of the opposite side. So opposite A measures 4. To the hypotenuse measures 5. So it's 4 divided by 5. That's it. You don't have to convert it into a decimal or anything else. The cosine of A is the side adjacent to it, next to it, which is side AC. And it's 3 to the hypotenuse over 5. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now we're going to do the same thing for angle B. Opposite hypotenuse, adjacent to hypotenuse, and then opposite to, adjacent. You only are dealing with the two acute angles. We don't use the right angle for anything of these computations. Okay? Now, what we are eventually going to get to is, not in this lesson, but in subsequent lessons, is using these ratios to figure out the lengths of sides or measure of angles. All right, so now going here, sine of A, opposite to hypotenuse, simplifies to 4/5, adjacent to hypotenuse, and opposite to adjacent. And a B, same thing, opposite to hypotenuse, adjacent to hypotenuse, and opposite to adjacent. Okay. Now, what I want to now make sure you know how to do is use your calculator to compute what the sine, cosine, or tangent of a particular angle is first. So again, just so that you understand, what we're saying is, and what was the basis of trigonometry is, if I have a 38-degree angle, and I want the sine of that angle. So that means I'm comparing the opposite to the hypotenuse, okay? What trigonometry is based on is the fact that no matter how large, or if I made a same small right triangle that had 38 degrees, right, so it underwent the dilation, that the ratio of A to C is always going to be this number. So you have to be comfortable with using your calculator so that you get these answers when you put in the numbers. Most calculators may ask you to put the number in first and then hit the sine, cosine, and tangent button. All right, but you just have to get comfortable with how the calculator works. Now, that's when we're given the angle and we're trying to find the measure of, or the ratio of one side to the other. Now we want to go in the opposite direction where I give you the decimal or the ratio equivalent, and we want the angle. So if you look down here, you need to use the button. Usually on most calculators, scientific calculators, you hit the second button and then sine, cosine, and tangent because you want it to use, you'll see on the calculator where above sine, cosine, and tangent, you'll see when you hit the second button, sine with a -1 that's an exponent. That's telling the calculator I'm looking for an angle measure. All right? So you should make sure that you're getting these 3 angle measures when you're using your calculator and that you're comfortable with using it. All right, so today we covered the very basics of trigonometry, and we will use it over the next few days to find out angle measures and side lengths.